My name is Michael Beasley, and welcome to this session of the Google Coaches Speakers Series. The name of my business is Career Crossings, and today I'm here to talk with you about the topic of advancing toward your dreams and goals through exercises and practices. Coaching is all about helping people accomplish and rather move forward toward their dreams and goals. And I express this in my business through the name of Career Crossings and on the back of my business card, which I'll show you later, which shows a picture of a little person crossing from one island to another, going to a happy place. And the little person is in a boat, of course. So there are three key points that I would hope that you would walk away with today in the topic of advancing toward your dreams and goals. And those 3 points, number one, is, first of all, to dream with the awe and the wonder of a child. And the next point is write down your dreams and seek clarification for those dreams. And the next point is readiness. In terms of readiness, do a reality check on what you are ready for, what you're ready to take action for, and there is tremendous hope on getting ready to achieve your goals and take action toward achieving your goals. Before I get into my session, I'm going to tell you a little story. And this story is about ducks. Did you know that ducks advance forward toward their dreams and goals? They do. Before I tell you about that, I'm going to tell you about how I know about that and about how I developed my expertise on ducks. It happened many years ago when I was a child. At about 8 years old, I was on a farm. I lived on a farm, as a matter of fact, all of my childhood life up until I went away to college. And on that farm, we had all kinds of farm animals. We had cattle, Angus cattle, as a matter of fact. We had goats, and we had pigs. We had sheep, and we had chickens. But we didn't have any ducks. So on that farm, I decided I wanted to have ducks. So the neighbor had ducks, and I talked to the neighbor, and they said, you know what you can do is you can put duck eggs under those chickens, and those chickens will hatch the ducks. I said, really? You're kidding. This seems a little odd to me. So they gave me the duck eggs, and I put those eggs under those chickens. And sure enough, 4 weeks later, little baby ducklings popped out, and that chicken thought those were her babies. I guess they were her babies at that point, right? So that's how I got my expertise in ducks. Now, back to the story of how ducks accomplish their dreams and goals, move forward toward their dreams and goals. So, ducks, keep in mind my expertise on ducks, and I am going to take a few liberties with the science here. So, keep in mind that you notice that when ducks are in the water, they're swimming along, right? You've probably noticed this. They're swimming along, and suddenly you see their heads go down. Heads down, tails up. Do you know what they're doing? They're eating, yes. And I like to say what they're doing is that they're not only eating, in a bigger picture, in today's context of this workshop, they're accomplishing their goals. And they're accomplishing their goal of eating. It's important, isn't it? They kind of have to eat, don't they, to survive. And you can also notice ducks, and they also do this other thing that seems a little odd. In the moment, it does anyway. So they're swimming along, and suddenly the whole flock of ducks will fly off and fly to someplace else in the water, on the pond, and fly to a new spot. And we all know about migration, don't we? They fly south for the winter, and they fly back north for the summer. When they're doing this, when they're flying, I like to think that they're flying up and getting the big picture. They're dreaming. So in the context of today's workshop, what is important for ducks is essential, absolutely essential for ducks, is that they accomplish goals, and in order for their survival, for their long-term survival, they must do that dream thing, flying up to new places. Otherwise, they will not survive unless they do both of those. Same goes for humans. We have to accomplish goals. We have to do that, otherwise we don't keep our jobs, right? And we have to dream in the long run, otherwise in the long run we don't grow and advance, and we're not of much value to the company unless we do that. What I find is that dreaming gets shortchanged, and we pay a lot of attention to goals, but we don't pay quite as much attention individually and corporately to the dreaming aspect. So the workshop, the session today, it's more of a presentation than a workshop. There will be some questions and a brief exercise. But today it's more about the dreaming aspect and a little bit focused on goals. I would like to have presented more on goals, but 1 hour doesn't provide enough time for that. So now, this session is about coaching and how you work toward dreams and goals through coaching. I want to tell you a little more about how that fits, how the coaching process works. Clients would come to me for a variety of reasons, and 5 in particular. One of the reasons that a client might come to me would be, first of all, let's just say this, there is a source of pain somewhere, and the pain may be minor, very, very minor, just a minor irritation, or very severe. So you can keep that in mind. So the issue or the thing that they might come to me for might have to do with leadership development. If any of you are managers or aspiring to be managers, some of you might come to someone like me for leadership development. Or if you're aspiring to go to the next level of leadership, that might be another reason to use a coach. What we would do is we would turn what your interest is there into what we would call a coaching objective that we would work on for the 3 months that we were engaged together in working toward your objective. And then we would, as much as possible, attempt to fit that up within your goals here at Google and your dreams, your overall dreams, not only for Google, but also for your life. And when we do that, it becomes much more successful. So goes the other 4 types of coaching that I would do. One of those, another one of those is career development. And career development, the idea behind that is that it can come in various levels and various extremes. It could be a situation where you're simply wanting to think about what's next for you. You're very happy in your current job, and you're now wanting to think about what's at the next level. Another, in the opposite end of that, could be someone who's just really frustrated in their job and they're struggling and they're wanting to find something much better. They're performing well, but they're wanting to find a different situation. So there's degrees of that. Another type of coaching might be transition coaching. Transition coaching could be a variety of situations as well. It could be a new person to Google, a noogler. And in that situation, a person has transitioned in and they're now looking for ways to get familiar with the culture and all the rest of the kinds of things that go along with transitioning in. Another thing, another situation, another transition sort of situation that a person might seek my help for would be perhaps transitioning from another country as an international coming to this country, or in a situation where they would be an expatriate coming back. That would possibly be a situation as well. In some situations, I've worked with clients who have transitioned to other countries, such as back to their previous country where they came from. Another type of coaching that I do is called episodic coaching. This means that there's an episode going on, and usually it's a crisis situation, something they desperately need to work on. Perhaps something like it's a manager who is about to lose a valuable employee, and that manager does not want to lose that employee, so we work toward saving the employee. That might be that episode. The final of the 5 types of coaching would be performance improvement, and that is a situation where the person's performance is in trouble. They're in trouble, and they either notice it or their manager notices it, and they're seeking my help to get themselves back on track. Normally, what happens is we have a combination of those types of coaching, and we work through the realm of those, in and out, and combine a lot of them, not necessarily all of them. So then, as I said, we match that back up to their overall dreams and goals here at Google. Now, I want to tell you just a bit about my background, and we'll get more into the content of what we're talking about here today. My background as it relates to the 5 types of coaching. On an education level, I have a PhD in vocational education, and I have an MBA. Professionally, I've performed both in the academic environment and in the corporate environment. I worked at Golden Gate University as an associate professor of management, leadership, and organizational behavior. And I was also the director of the executive MBA program there, stationed out of Los Altos in the Silicon Valley campus. In business, I worked at Hewlett-Packard for several years, and at Hewlett-Packard, I was working with employees on career development, and I worked with their managers, coaching their managers, helping them to help their employees. I also worked with technical people to help them be better technical instructors, and in doing that, I provided a variety of training programs to help technical people both develop and deliver training. The name of my business is Career Crossings, and I focus on coaching, consulting, and education. I'm an associate of 2 other organizations. I was formerly associate with Right Management Consultants, currently with Career Systems International and Lash Associates, focusing on leadership development. Career Systems International focusing on career development. I want to move now into writing dreams, which gets us more into the meat of the material today. So, in writing dreams, I now want to talk about the categories of life which are important to think about when you think about writing dreams, because in reality, we have dreams for all categories of our lives. We may not write them down, but in reality, we do have dreams and we think about those dreams, even though they may not be as clear as they need to be and as clear as I think they should be. So I'm now going to give you a variety of life categories for you to consider. Keep in mind that these are the categories that I came up with over time, and I've invested quite a bit of time in it, but even with that, please, when you think of your life categories, which I do suggest you write dreams, but when you think of your categories, you may want to change the wording, and feel perfectly free that when you do that, when you write your dreams, to change the categories according to the wording that's more comfortable for you. Here are the categories that I've used. So we have up here on the chart profession or vocation. This is your work. And you know what that is, right? That's pretty clear. I'm going to explain some of the ones that are not quite as clear, that may not be as clear. We have finances, we have fitness and health, mental, emotional, and spiritual. What we're talking about there would be the things that you would do for well-being, in order to promote more well-being. For some, it's meditation. For some, it's quiet time. And for some, it's spirituality in various forms, including meditation and quiet time, all the way to religious practices. So choose the wording that's best for you, that fits best for you. Other would be, in case I've left something out, the other category then, relationships, has to do with all of the relationships in your life. Wow, that's a big category, isn't it? We could almost have several circles and a different model for that entirely in itself. Then we have play, leisure, and entertainment. That's the fun category. Don't leave that one out. And then we have your home and surroundings. This would have to do with anything to do with where you live. What do you want for where you live? Do you want to live in a place that's closer to work? Do you want to live in a woodsy area? Do you want to live in San Francisco? Do you want to not live in the Bay Area? Do you want to live outside the Bay Area, where some of you are joining us remotely right now? And welcome to you, by the way. I'm glad you're here today. So that covers home and surroundings. So there you have the different categories of life. And I, being the way I am, I do like to change things, so I respect that you might want to do that yourself. Now I want to talk with you about dreams, and I'm going to set you up for a little exercise that I'm going to do with you. And before I talk about dreams, I'm going to ask you to start thinking about something. I believe that when you dream, it's important to get in touch with the child energy. And what I mean by the child energy is the innocence, the openness. And if you think about a child, that they've been here or they were there before all the adult rules came into the picture. So what I want to ask you to do is, just like that story that I told you about my ducks a while ago, I want you to sort of get in mind something that you did as a child. I'm not going to ask you to share this story, but at a time or a little situation where you were when you were a child, when you were on a mission. The way I was on a mission with my ducks. I was so excited with those ducks. I was thrilled. So I want you to think about right now, or over the next few minutes, that childhood experience that you had, and just sort of bring that feeling into the room right now. So I use the word dreams when I'm talking about writing what you want in your life. Some people use the word vision, and I'm telling you this so that if you happen to work with a coach and they use the word vision, know that we're probably talking about the same thing. Personally, I prefer to use the word dream because for me, it brings in the passion aspect of it. After all, Martin Luther King did say, "I have a dream." And what could be more passionate than that? So I believe that it brings the passion aspect of it into the picture. Why dream? Why dream? Pardon me? To grow, yes. What else? Freedom from practical constraints. Takes you out to that next thing, doesn't it? What else? How could you not? I like that. What else? Yeah, we're always dreaming, aren't we? It's just a matter of focusing that and doing something with it. Why else dream? It's where you want to be. It takes you where you want to go, doesn't it? Great. It's fun. Absolutely fun. Wonderful. So I think you've captured all the points that I wanted to get out, but I'll read you what I have. Following dreams leads to satisfaction and life balance. Dreams help us to define our future. Dreaming helps us to begin moving into the future. Dreams provide hope, motivation, and excitement. Getting clear can impact readiness for action. That's key to what I'm going to talk about in a few moments. Getting clear about your dreams can impact readiness for action. I want to talk about now some key points regarding dreams, and then in a few moments I'm going to allow you to sit and write some of your dreams just shortly, just in a brief exercise. Key points regarding dreams. It's natural for fears to come up when we're writing dreams. Did you know that? I have a feeling they may not come up so much for you, based on what you've been saying. But we coaches have this term that we use to describe those fears. It's basically describing what we call the negative voice, but we coaches use this term called the gremlin. And the gremlin, do you know what it does? It holds you back. It keeps you from accomplishing your dreams. It's usually that negative and sometimes the adult voice saying, "No, you can't do that." And it's preventing you from moving forward. So it's the negative voice. In my pictorial representation, I actually use the term shark. It's the shark biting at you. And it fits in with the picture that's on the back of my business card, and that's why I use that. It fits in with my analogies better. But it is the negative voice, and it does keep us from moving forward. There is something to be heard and listened to in the negative voice because sometimes it protects us. So we have to know how to distinguish between the reality of the negative voice, the part that's going to protect us, and the gremlin that's going to hold us back. But it's there. Dreams become clearer as next steps are followed. Dreams are fuzzy, aren't they? Especially when you go out into the future. Sometimes we don't know exactly what the dream is. We might just know that we want to please customers, or we want to do presentations. We might just generally know what the dream is. So as we move into the future, as we start to follow our dreams, they become clearer and clearer and clearer just by following the dreams. But they're fuzzy at first, and the point that I want to make to you is that maybe your negative voice will tell you, well, you don't know what the dream is, you don't even follow it. How ridiculous. You're following something, you don't even know what the dream is. Or people may tell you that. Don't listen to them. What I suggest to you is you go ahead and have the dream and then just work to get clearer on it. But start the dream and don't let the fact that it's not clear tell you to not have the dream. Writing down dreams helps to add clarity. Just by writing down the dreams helps to add clarity. In my teaching of courses at Golden Gate University, we used a lot of Harvard articles and case studies. And one of the articles was called Clear Writing Means Clear Thinking, Means Clear Writing, Means Clear Thinking, and on and on and on. And what I take from that is just the writing process of dreaming will help you to get clear about what your dreams are. Dreams are about creation, and creation is messy. Are any of you artists? Do any of you do art as a sideline activity? Your work is your art, right? So dreams are messy, and they're about the creation process, and creation is messy. I do sculpture as my art, and talk about a mess. It's messy. And sometimes I'll be doing a piece, and I'll be right in the middle of it, and I don't like the way something looks. Maybe the arm's not right, and I just rip it off and start all over again. And dreams are that way too. You can change courses, you can move in different directions, it can be messy. Dreams are a natural part of life. Sometimes people say, won't I ever be happy? Or they might say the other thing, I'll be happy when. What I suggest is that you get comfortable with the not knowing. Get comfortable with the process. That's what's the exciting part, is the whole process of getting there, isn't it? It's scary sometimes and it's a lot of work. But if you look back on it, you think, wow, wasn't that fun? Wasn't that exciting? Just the process of getting there. So I think that's what dreams are all about, and that's what the excitement is the process of getting and realizing those dreams. So right in a moment, I'm going to give you some samples, some examples of dreams, and then I'm going to ask you to write some dreams yourself, or yours. Are those little children here in the room? You got your image of your child when you were a child and on a mission, the way I was with my ducks, because I'm going to invite them in just a few moments. Examples of dream first cut. So we have here the first cut of dreams, and some people will say, oh, well, it's not clear. So that's okay that it's not clear. Get it clear. You know, it's something you work toward, but the fact that the first time you write it down is not clear, that's not a problem at all. So the idea is that you work toward gaining clarity toward your dreams, and that comes over time. It does take a little bit of time to get clear about your dreams. The idea is to write down the very first draft, and then sleep on it, and then write it down again and change the wording, sleep on it some more, maybe ask a few people for feedback. What do you think about this? And get some other ideas. The point is that the most important part is that it's coming out of you, and when people give you feedback, make sure that the feedback feels right for you. That's the key. That's why I say bring the child in, because they know what the answer is. They know what's important. And they're the ones that were here before any adult rules came into their lives. So here are some examples. And this, by the way, I got permission from a Googler on Monday to give this as a dream. It's a very general dream, isn't it? It could apply to any company. And this person says, to be recognized as an outstanding manager. That was his dream. To be trusted as a leader based on my technical skills, and to lead through example as a manager who likes to get his hands dirty doing technical work. That was our first cut dream that we drafted in about 5 minutes. And I did take some liberties with it. I edited a few things and added a few words. And hopefully it still represents the sentiment of what his dream is, I would imagine. Finances. This is not his dream. This is another one that I brought into the picture. So finances then would be to have my profession provide for me abundantly. And this just is saying that I want to have enough money to pay my bills and to have enough maybe left over. And there might be other words that you could say. You might even have a dream there. You can have as many dreams as you like, right? They're your dreams. You could have a dream about owning a home, have enough money to buy a home, have enough money to pay my current mortgage, might be a dream, whatever the dream is. Health and fitness. And this is an example of a dream that is already in place. And in this situation, the person is pleased with their health and fitness, and what they want to do, they're now dreaming to keep it in place. So the reason I'm giving that example for you is don't forget the things that are already in place in your lives and keep dreaming about those in terms of maintaining those dreams. I've only given 3 categories here, and I've given those simply for examples, but to remind you of the other categories, I'm going to show you the others. Mental, emotional, spiritual, relationships, significant other, children, parents, siblings, and friends, and play, leisure, entertainment, home, surroundings. So, I'm now going to ask you to write some dreams for yourselves, and what I want you to do is invite that little child in, the little child that you knew long ago, who's still with you, the little child who was open, who was not afraid, who was willing to play, and just set that little child right down beside you. Let's set that little child in your lap, perhaps, and let the little child tell you what your dreams are. Is the person there? Is the little person there with you? I see a lot of children here, little boys and girls. And so now what I want to ask you to do is begin the process of writing some dreams. And for those of you who are at the other locations, what we're going to do here for 2 minutes is we're going to go away, and you will not be able to hear me on video, and people are going to be writing their dreams. I'm going to be asking you to do that as well. Please don't go away, though. Please come back in 2 minutes, because we will be back in 2 minutes. I'm going to give people just enough time to begin to craft some dreams. Try to write down a dream in each of the 7 categories. Just one at least. Can you tell me, or rather, are there any questions? Do you have any questions about this exercise, about what to do? Any questions at all? Very good. So we're going to go away now for 2 minutes, and this picture will be up here on the projector, and you'll be able to see it, and we'll be right back. Did you write some dreams? Good. And did you get a dream in each category? Needed more time, okay. Are you going to do that when you go home? Good. So, any questions about that? Any questions at all? So I do encourage you to keep going with this. I hope I've intrigued you enough and tempted you enough with this little activity that you will now go home or go back to your desk and continue the process using these categories or categories that are comfortable for you in order to get a little clearer. And what you might consider doing is something like, this is what I do, is I will type them out and then I print them off, and then I take the page with me and keep them by my bedside, or take them with me to lunch and maybe jot them down. I keep them private though, because I don't want anyone to judge them or criticize them right away. So you have to decide your comfort level on how much you share of your dreams in this very early stage. Okay, so now I want to move on into your Google dream. How might you get clear about your Google dream? How do you get clear about your Google dream, might be the question. By writing it down, okay. How else? How do you get clear about your Google dream? I beg your pardon? Brainstorm with other people or with yourself? Both? Okay. How else? Okay. Networking may be embedded in what you're saying. And that's what I want to talk about right now. And that is networking to get clear about your Google dream. Because it's important that your dream matches up with your company's dream, right? So by networking, what you can do is venture out and talk about the kinds of things that you are dreaming about, and then asking others, picking their brains, and that way that fuzzy dream that you have can become more into focus. The fuzziness that I was talking about earlier comes more into focus just by networking. So I'm going to give you some suggestions and some thoughts about how to go forward using the idea of networking to get clear on your dreams. You probably use networking, and I understand Googlers do a lot of networking, and you may already do this. So what I am suggesting is that if you already do it, that you certainly continue doing that. It may be so obvious to do that that you didn't think to say that one. So exercise. Here's an exercise. And by the way, when I talk to clients, I will sometimes talk about exercises, and I will sometimes talk about the idea of practices. And I distinguish those in this way. An exercise is something that you do once, and a practice is something that you do it that you continue doing it, whether it's once a year, once a month, or maybe once a day. It's a practice that becomes habit. It's more of a habit. So this is an exercise to set you up for networking. So the instructions then would be to write down your initial thoughts of what your dreams might be connected to Google. Yay, you've done that. You did it today, right? So you started that process, and you might want to perfect that a little more, go back and get a little bit clearer about what that dream is or what those dreams are. Then write down the names of the people with whom you want to have network meetings to identify your dreams. In doing this, what I suggest is that you start with people that you're comfortable with. That's what I do. And I start with people that I trust, that I feel happy around, that I feel like they're not going to criticize me, and then I start to reveal what my thoughts are, my dreams are, and I pick their brain and say, how could you add to this? Help me with this. So that's the way I do it. And then venture out a little more and a little more and a little more until you talk with a lot of different people. Write questions and information to help you be focused in the meeting. What this will do will help you to get much clearer, much focused, and have a much more productive meeting. Write down what you can do or share to help them. So there will be a lot that you can do, and the typical rule of networking is that you don't make it one-sided, that you offer something back to that person, so there's a lot that you will be able to do to help them. You may have in mind already something that you can do with a particular person, or it may become obvious when you meet with them. For example, I was in a networking mode not long ago, and when I met with the person, I discovered in the meeting that he was interested in a particular topic, in a particular writing, and I went back and went on Amazon and bought a book for him by that author. So that's another way that you can do that, to maybe give them a gift in that way. It could be by lunch, or it could be other kinds of things, or share some technology or some knowledge that you have.
Lunch is free.
Oh, yeah, lunch is free. So you don't have, well, that's really easy, isn't it? I'll buy you lunch. Okay, so the practice would be then to network regularly to get clear about your dreams, and to make that a habit, and to keep going with that, because your dreams need to grow. They do grow. They change all the time. So this is just a habit to honor what is actually naturally happening. Does that fit? Could you see yourself doing that? I'm seeing some heads nod. Would there be anything that you would add to that to make it easier, more effective, more efficient for you? Okay. Good. I now want to talk about the concept of readiness for dreams. So you've got a first cut, and you've done a little bit of thinking about how ready you are, or rather about the dreams that you want to have. And now what this thought is that I want to plant in your head is, what are you ready for right now in terms of taking action? And I want to give you a few examples of this. The first one is my example, and it is when I was at Hewlett-Packard. think we need more light. Is that what we're needing? I'm seeing camera people walking around. So my first example is of readiness, has to do with when I was at Hewlett-Packard. And this was in a situation where I became unready. And I came into Hewlett-Packard with all bright-eyed and really excited to be there. That was a happening place when I was at Hewlett-Packard. When I went for my interview, it was such a creative place. And I remember when I went into that interview, I was walking through the foyer, and I looked over, and there was a woman tap dancing. And the person taking me through the foyer just didn't even look. I mean, it was like nothing was happening. I said, there's a woman over there tap dancing. And she said, oh, yeah, I mean, we do, it's creative here. We're a creative kind of place. And so, wow, what a wonderful place to be working. What a dream I had about that place. And so I got the job. And you know, within a few weeks, a few months, little by little, I started looking around and saying, gosh, I don't know about this. I don't know. This is not feeling too good. I'm not sure if I like this or not. I was in a cubicle, and I could hear people talking. I'd come from the university environment, and I had an office. People were so loud, and I couldn't focus. I couldn't think. And what I came to realize is I really did not like my job. I didn't like it at all. So suddenly I was not ready for that job anymore. I fell out of readiness, you might say. I was ready at one time, and my dream was still there, but I was feeling like that job was not meeting my needs. So I was on the phone. I know I'm not going to ask anybody to admit this, but maybe you can think to yourself, do you relate to what I'm talking about? Have you ever been in a situation like this? I was on the phone, whispering in the cubicle, trying to get another job within Hewlett-Packard, talking to other companies, and it just wasn't happening. It was not happening. I was frustrated. I was so frustrated. So little by little, I came to acknowledge my frustration, came to acknowledge what I thought I needed to do at that time, and I thought I needed to quit. And so I went out and got an equity line of credit on my house. Bay Area, lucky us, we have real estate. Got an equity line on my house and got enough money that I could quit. So a funny thing happened. When I had enough money, when I realized I could quit, I didn't have to quit anymore. And I got a lot of courage. So I walked in one day and I said to my manager, it took a little bit of courage to get up to this. I said to my manager, I don't like my job. I don't recommend this always. I can't recommend that you would try this at home. But I went in and I think I'd have a little better, more of a plan than what I had. So I walked into this manager and I said, I really don't like my job. This is a wonderful company, but it's not working for me. And she said, well, Bev was her name. She said, let's change it. And I said, really? We can change my job? And so we set out and changed my job. We turned it into something that I like. And she said, by all means, she said, we're a new department and we can do many things. We can do this job and your job in many, many ways. So I suddenly started thinking, well, how can I do this? What can I do differently? I had seen some courses on training trainers, and I said, you know, I think I might like doing that. I have some expertise in teaching, and I might be able to do that. And I said, I think I'd like to do that. And she said, well, let's get you certified. So she got me certified in that course called Teaching Technical Topics. She got me certified in another one called an Instructional Design Process. That was the beginning of the turnaround in my job. I started loving my job. It went from hating to be in that cubicle, hating to be in the bullpen, to loving being there, being so excited to be there. I got in what I call readiness. Now I'm ready to be here. I'm ready to start taking action. I was taking action every day on my dream, moving forward. And you know, that change right there, that little action that I took to walk into her office and say, I don't like this, turned me around, and it actually was the foundation for my consulting practice to this very day. It got me going in that direction. So I can say to you, readiness is critical, and determining what you're ready for is critical, and taking action to make yourself ready is critical. And that's why I'm talking to you about this topic. So let's talk about some factors that impact readiness. So readiness can be impacted by a whole variety of things. Other things going on in your life, for example. So let's say you've got health issues. Let's say you have cancer. Let's hope not, but you get cancer. When you have cancer, are you really ready to work? That kind of changes the readiness picture, doesn't it? So other things going on in your life affect readiness in different categories of life. It can be temporarily affected, or it can be affected in a long-range way. Many, many different things can impact readiness. Peer pressure can impact readiness. So we might be, in our minds, be ready for a change, but yet around people, our peers, who are not supportive of us, so they're not pushing us forward, allowing us to go forward to what we really, really want to do. Peer pressure. Peer pressure can also cause us to move into readiness. I had a funny situation the other day at the gym. I was talking to this man, and he said he was in good physical condition, excellent physical condition, as a matter of fact, and he said, the other day I got together with some of my, and he said, yeah, I've gotten myself in a good fit condition here, and I felt like that I didn't have to work quite as hard. And he said, but something happened the other day that changed my mind. He said he got with some of his friends, and they were all looking buff, and suddenly he decided he was ready to go back to the gym and work a little harder. So his peer pressure caused him, it was a little bit of competition there, caused him to get back into readiness, to being more active toward his workouts. Background and experience can impact readiness as well. So your background, let's say you get into a position, your dream was to be a manager, for example. That is your dream, or let's say that is your dream to be a manager. And then you start thinking about, what is my background? And do I have the background and experience? So the action that that you are ready for may be to gain the background and experience to go into that position. That may be the act that pulls you into that next mode. Belief in the possibility will impact readiness. I have so many clients that don't take action because they don't think it's possible. And what we have to do there is work on their belief in the possibility that that can actually happen. So the belief in the possibility there can impact their readiness. So some of these things having to do with readiness are some things that we can help you on in coaching. We can actually impact your readiness. We can help you get ready. We can help you identify the skills that you need in order to do certain things. We can impact your mental processes, your thinking about your belief about whether or not you're ready to get yourself ready. Another readiness issue might be, I'm not sure if I want it, or I changed my mind. So I have worked with clients before who are working toward something, and for example, maybe working toward a vice president level, and they think they want it, and then as we start to go through and they start working toward it, it becomes clear to them that they don't really want it. So they change their mind, and that's okay too. At least they worked toward it. I've heard it said that even if you don't accomplish a goal, the act of working toward accomplishing a goal is a good thing in itself. So that's an important aspect. Fear can impact readiness, can take you out of readiness. Level of desire can impact readiness, can impact and make you more ready or less ready if you don't have the desire there. And the clarity of a dream can also impact your readiness for action. So here we have readiness for action, and I have a model for you. So what I suggest you do is go back to your dreams, or actually go back to the categories, and ask yourself, how ready am I for action, for activity in that dream category? Look at each one for your profession and vocation, for your finances, for your health and fitness, mental, emotional, spiritual, etc. What are you really wanting to focus on right now? And that's a very important question, and it's a hard question too. We struggle with it. So what if your heart and soul tells you that you need to focus on something else other than work right now? How do you handle that? What do you do? Because work's very demanding, isn't it? I was talking to a gentleman the other day. He was not a client. So I was talking with him, and it was obvious from our conversation that he was doing some very valuable work around mental, emotional, and spiritual. And he was working on some issues from childhood. And these issues had impacted him in relationships in the past. And he was absolutely needing to work on this, and he was achieving great success in ironing them out. The reality is the work that he's doing now will make him much more successful at work later. So what we were talking about in the conversation was whether or not he's ready to take on some next steps at work. So what he was telling me is that he was indeed very successful at work already, even though he was doing a lot of work on himself outside of work. What he was telling me is that he is perceived by other people as being successful, but yet right now he's feeling just to himself like he's a little bit stagnant. But his dilemma was, do I go for what I think I might need to do? Is the time now? So it was a big dilemma, a big discussion that we had, and he's now going to go away and think about that. But I think an important thing for him to think about, whether or not he wants to go for the next step, which may take him away from his work on himself. So he's going to be thinking about that. And it may be that he can take little steps, little action steps toward getting him to that next level at work. But I certainly support him in guarding his time and knowing the reality of what he needs to do right now. There may be other situations where you've gotten some other things in your life kind of taken care of and you are ready to go for it. You're ready for some action. I would say in my life right now, that is where I am. I've gotten the rest of my life in really good shape. And the focus right now for me is profession. I'm in a place right now where I'm in tremendous readiness for that and achieving some good things. And maybe some of you are in that stage too. Some of you may be in this stage of readiness. You may be ready for work and you may have hit some snags along the way. And those snags may be taking you now to a place where you are struggling. Maybe you have advanced, you've been successful all of your lives, and maybe you've hit a few snags that are making you say, am I really sure that this new dream that I have is the right dream for me? And you may be having some doubts, and you may be feeling some stuckness, and you may be thinking, am I indeed ready for what I'm doing right now? And just your stuckness is keeping you in place. So there's a lot of work that can be done to get clear about your capabilities, to learn and to move forward, to get you unstuck, just as I did at Hewlett-Packard in my example. Any questions about this model that I have up there? Is that clear to you about how you might use it in your lives? Okay, any questions at all? Good. I highly encourage you to spend some time on this and to value what you think you need to do right now. Value what you think you need to do. Where do you need to spend your time? And it will pay off. Before I close, I want to talk about downtime in connection to dreams. I have a few more things actually before I close. Downtime in connection to dreams. So I believe that when you are dreaming, especially during that stage, it's critical to give yourself downtime. Downtime's hard to work into our lives, isn't it? Let's face it, we are busy people. So we can find little snippets of downtimes, and you may have your own techniques for doing that. There are different ways of doing it, but there are different degrees of doing it too. There's temporary, momentary downtime to give yourself rest and renewal. And then there's the longer weekend retreats, and then there's the vacations. So in terms of the momentary kinds of downtime, you could think of doing things like when you're sitting at your desk, getting up and walking around this beautiful building, walking around in the foyers, or walking outside. Certainly that downtime is important. I'm saying these things, they're quite obvious, aren't they? But I'm also saying them in terms of this period when you're writing dreams, when you're thinking about dreaming, that the downtime is critical to help your dreams come out of your mind and psyche. So momentary downtime is important. Downtime after work, things like getting a massage, anything that can relax you might be an important thing to do now. Going on weekend retreats, going on hikes to let your mind come to the surface, to let your thoughts come to the surface would be important. Vacations, as I mentioned earlier. There's a wonderful book, and it has a religious sounding name, but it is not a religious book, this book is filled, packed full of exercises to give you downtime. And the book is called Sabbath. Sabbath by Wayne Muller. It is an excellent book. And you can get that book on Amazon. It's an older book for $2. For like $2 you can buy this book because it's such an old book. And it's packed full of exercises that are so sweet and so wonderful and so provide such peace during this period, which I highly recommend. Going on and now talking about, I want to talk with you about some more practices that you can do that might impact readiness, that might help you in your readiness phase, help you move into readiness more so when you're trying to accomplish some goals. Some of them will just be related more to dreams. Exercises and practices to support you in progressing toward your dreams. So the first one, I call this practice the Harry Potter practice. Did you see the movie Harry Potter? Did you read the book Harry Potter, maybe? Did you read the first one? So it's called Harry Potter's Closet, actually. I misspoke. Where did Harry Potter sleep when he was living with his aunt and uncle? Do you remember? In the cupboard under the stairs, yes. I think of it as a closet. But if you've ever been into any of these old houses, they have closets under the stairs, and that was where he slept. Can't you imagine that in that closet, what he was doing was dreaming about the future? His aunt and uncle weren't very supportive, were they? So in his private moments, he was probably dreaming about things to come. And wow, did he ever have things to come? He had no idea. Talk about fuzzy dreams. Things came later, didn't they? But can't you imagine that he was not talking to his aunt and uncle about that? So what I say to you is protect your dreams the way Harry Potter protected his dreams. There will be times when you want to talk to people about it, but if you sense that you're not comfortable talking to people or particular people, then guard your dream the way Harry Potter did in his closet. And eventually, when you get more comfortable with it, you will feel more comfortable talking to people about your dream, right? Next, I call this the dream storyboard. So creative people, technical people, you know about storyboarding, right? In training and teaching, we know about storyboarding. What the dream storyboarding is creating a pictorial representation of your dream. So what I am throwing out the idea for here is that you think of some of your dreams that you really want to have. You really want this promotion. You really want to be successful at being a manager. So you do yourself a little storyboard, create a PowerPoint presentation, and this is not going to be the kind of PowerPoint presentation that I'm doing here that you're going to show to a group of people. It's the kind of PowerPoint presentation that's for you only, for your eyes only. So, oh, we're getting close. So that would be a PowerPoint presentation of your dreams. So we are out of time. I'm getting the signal that we are out of time. And I'm going to need to close now. And thank you for your participation. Thank you for being here today. And I will say that I do have a gift. And I think I have just about the right number of gifts for you here. These, have you seen these? Oh, I'm supposed to hold it still for the camera to see it. I think I should set it down over here so you can see it a little bit better. That is a Lego toy. And when I did my research on Google a few months ago, when I was being selected to be one of the coaches for the approved coaches, I read about Larry Page and his printer, when he made the printer made out of Legos. And I said, well, I've got to bring my Lego toys, because what I do is I give clients this toy, this Lego. All of my clients, each of my clients, I give this Lego, and I've been doing it for many years. And when you see my business card, you will notice that there's a little woman in a boat crossing from one side to another, and this Lego toy looks a lot like that boat. So each of you will get one of those. I have 20, so if there's more than 20 people here today, you may not get one. So I'm going to give you one of those Lego toys. In conclusion, I would like to say thank you for your participation today. And I would love to talk with you if you have any questions about what I have talked to you about. I'll be glad to hang around and answer those questions. Or you can reach me on my website, www.career-crossings.com. If you want to set up a coaching engagement, that would come through Merrill Blanchard, who is here in this room at this time. Thank you.